Okay. The performance in the last decade that I was particularly moved by, there's obviously so many, but the one that came to mind was Kate Winslet in The Reader. Because I'm familiar with women from that generation in Germany and their guardedness and there's sort of a very cut-off, blunt energy to them. When I saw it, I was completely blown away. If I looked like Kate Winslet, I would act naked as well, all the time. But I don't, so that's why I don't do the roles Kate Winslet does.
I can't remember the guy's name. I think his name was White. His last name was White. Do you remember that movie, Chuck and Buck? Yeah, I dug that performance. I thought that was really good.
I think about Sean Penn in Mystic River, I think. Yeah, Sean was extraordinarily moving in that. I mean, that was really something to watch somebody kind of actualize grief that way. I can barely talk about it, but yeah, I think that one. It's that thing about loss,
I would say any performance by Peter Sarsgaard is pretty much my favorite performance. God, I'm such a kiss ass. I would pick An Education. I don't know what he does for a living. He seems to be into cellos. He likes really, really young women. That's my best description of Peter Sarsgaard's character in An Education.
The one that stuck in my head is Saoirse Ronan in Atonement. And I'd never seen her in anything, and she was like 12 years old or something. But I just remember that the first 40 minutes of the film were for me, the most interesting part of the whole film, and her especially. Her eyes were just so blue, and they flickered to the camera just for a second, and it's the only point in the film where anyone, apart from Vanessa Redgrave at the end, who's delivering sort of a monologue, makes any eye contact with the camera. And I don't know if it was intended or not, but it sort of suddenly she was looking straight at you. It was amazing.
What is it that really makes a performance, compelling? Like, I guess it's just the degree of vulnerability, maybe. That guy in The Lives of Others, phenomenal. Yeah, Auric. I mean, brilliant. And then he died after that.
Meryl Streep, anything she's done in the last 50 years.
I was immensely impressed with No Country for Old Men. I identify with it. I'm a great admirer of Tommy Lee Jones altogether, because I think this is how acting, well, if that's not too irreverent to say, works the most beautifully.
Eddie Murphy in The Nutty Professor, or Eddie Murphy in anything where he plays every single role, because you've got to understand that there's a guy sitting at a table acting to nothing. And then the next day he has to come in dressed as another character. I think it's very underrated.
Michael Fassbender in Hunger, I would have to say. Fassbender plays Bobby Sands, and he goes on a hunger strike. I don't know, there's something about his face that is unlike anyone in the way it conveys emotion.
I think I'm gonna have to break some rules here. I'm a bit biased, but I'm gonna say Leonardo DiCaprio in Aviator. I thought he was just brilliant, the way he built that character. It wasn't an impression of a historical figure. It was him building a character from how he understood who the man was in this part of the story of his life.
I was actually trying to cast my mind back as to which films have been this decade or not. I mean, I'm at an age where I'm not sure whether, Gone with the Wind was this decade or not. I just don't know where to put anything in time anymore. But that's very easy. It's Kevin Bacon in The Woodsman. It just jumps out from all the rest. Kevin was playing a paedophile who is released from jail. He's served his time. It's not clear to us at the beginning what it is exactly he's done, but the film is a very daring attempt to take arguably the most unsympathetic character trait one could ever imagine, and make that a trait in our protagonist. And for Kevin to humanize the character in that way, you know, in any way, was an enormous feat.
I have to say that the performance that Tang Wei did in Lust Caution was absolutely stunning. It was a very beautifully disastrous love story where this woman was yearning to be loved, and she found love in the arms of a person that was supposed to be a monster. In terms of like me as an artist, getting to see physical contact in films, and I haven't seen that since I'm gonna say the 80s, you know? I miss that. I miss that so much, and I have to say that those were the most sensual, amazing scenes that I've seen in a long time.
I will tell you the best performance I think I've seen in the last 10 years, strangely, is Marion Cotillard in La Vie en Rose, because it's very hard to do what she did, which was to play an old person. People always kind of like, you know, when they do old people. And she, you know, actors when they play old try to look old, and old people try to look young. And she looked every bit like she was 70 years old, but she looked like she was trying to be young. And she was so good in that film, from beginning to end, all the way through. I actually really liked that film as well. I would say last decade, I'd put that up with one of the best performances.